Yo, yo, how we doing? How we doing? Back with another watch list today for January 14th, Tuesday, tomorrow. The bunch of names with continued weakness. My fader's scan continues to be lit up. My gainer's scan is slowly dwindling. So it feels better with my watch list starting to shrink a little bit now, being able to delete names off of watch. So it feels nice, but definitely less opportunities for myself so far starting this week. Um, Stuck to my goals of no trades. Let me see this one. Positions. Right. I think that's, yeah, this one. You can see positions, closed positions, didn't trade anything today. So stuck to that plan from last night. Stayed within my wheelhouse and didn't try to get fancy. So happy with that. My headphones are messing with me. Okay. So yeah, going into tomorrow, I feel like my hand is kind of forced to start watching these quantum names and robotics names, tech names, all these ones that have gone on recent multi-day runs. They've just pulled back so much. Yes, that thesis came in, the fundamentals changed when the CEO of NVIDIA said it's going to take a lot longer than expected, basically, for quantum to be a thing. And so everybody's forcing these to the short side the entire way up. And then the big gap down, basically, there's nobody home. There's nobody left short. So these fades are just quieter, easier, steady lows. And because now everybody was fighting them on the front side, wanting to nail this short trade. Well, now the fade finally comes, and now everybody's flipping long because it's down too much. So basically, what needs to happen is this kind of churn near the highs needs to happen down near the lows. And I feel like that's happened where we got that gap down and people thought they bounced it, and now we're getting that secondary leg that is now stopping everybody out. And I think that is now the capitulation I need to the downside to get me interested. Now, there are names that look better daily chart wise, like QBTS, for example. This isn't an A plus. Like this setup here isn't an A plus for me. I'd put it in the B range, but this daily chart pattern is more like a C grade. Like this bounce, choppy day, gap down right through support, where something like RGTI is a lot more straight up of a daily. The gap down is met with 1-2 days following. There wasn't a sideways day. It was right near its lows, gap down, follow through. This one's a lot cleaner. So if I was to trade the quantum names, this is likely where I focus. If you look at the other ones, the same kind of thing. This one was sideways for a while, wasn't steady highs. If it was pulling back like this off of here, that'd be more interest for me. Same thing with this one. We already had that pullback before the gap down, couple sideways days right off supports. There's not a whole lot of range back to the upside. So for me, I think RGTI, I've traded this one the best on the front side when looking for pullbacks. So just given I'm more familiar with how this name trades, we're pulling right back into prior support, this 580 range. little flush under it there after hours, but nice reclaim. So I'd be looking at all week opens. I do have a feeling that this is going to gap up because it's never that easy when you're looking for the short trade and you get a 50% gap down. And now when you're looking for the bounce and you get a 10-15% gap up, they don't typically act as perfect and ideal as I'd like to. So I'm anticipating this gapping up, but I will still be interested in week opens and use this little 6 over under as a guide. Similar kind of basket is RR and SES in the robotics. Not directly correlated, but a close enough sector that have gone on a run recently together. This one's pulled back, not clean, but been steady lows if you zoom out to something like an intradaily, like a multi-day intraday chart. It's fairly steady lows. For this one, I need it to extend away from the 250s for me to warrant a bounce play. Ideally, would get back down to this breakout on a gap down, and I'd be definitely interested in a week open, some sort of big gap down, slight gap down, wash out into those 160s for that mean revert. And SES, not sure if this was yesterday or a couple days ago, but I had said I wanted to see this start to extend from some recent volume profile levels, and boy did we get steady lows again today. So these things seem like they're just burning longs. If you recall, I was looking at this short trade up here, and it was a bit choppier than expected, but once we got that 180s failed follow through, we haven't had it go green yet. So it's been 4 days now, hasn't gone green. So that could be one of those triggers, one of those signals that we had gone over. So I'd be using the sector as a guide, RGTI, SES, and RR, all in the tech space. But I have those on watch for backside capitulation. Soon, this one kind of fits the bill as well. It's just been so heavy. Volume isn't speeding up and the candles keep getting smaller. Or when I'm looking for exhaustion, I'm typically looking for a speed up, whether it's gap down or candle size. So I'm not 100% sure. I would like it to bounce off of this 13 and possibly set up the same setup it did here, right over here off the 13s. So it could bounce, but it's not a main watch like the other ones. OPTT, quiet fader, bit unfortunate to miss. Hindsight, once this $1 fails, it's a really nice unwind. But is what it is. Fubo failed follow through today, never built up over 6, was gap down and steady lows all day. So it might need a bit more time if it wants to do anything. Sens, volume dried up, but still holding up in its upper band of its daily range. Let's see if we got any overhead nearby. Nothing crazy. Holding up pretty well. Prior VWAP here in the upper 60s, which is right where today's low was. So still holding trend. Shorts are still underwater. Definitely got popped there into close. So it could be a T+1 setup. See how it acts off at 80 cents. That would be a trigger level for me. We got DJT. This one was brought up on the watch list yesterday. I forget who brought it up, but I wasn't super interested in it. I'm definitely more interested in a multi-day run, sort of blow off overextension. Not tomorrow. I don't want to see it higher, but looking for a possible sell the news. So ideally this keeps going higher and could get a short trade off on this one in the coming days. There's just so much overhead up here that I don't see it getting through it. And you've also got fun that hasn't quite broken out yet, but it's certainly trying. So if this one could get a speed up, this eights range, if it gets up there, that's a swing back to lows for me. So I will keep this one on watch with DJT. for higher the better. CGBS finally put it in inside day. So I had noted those top wicks didn't interest me for that breakout yesterday. But now that we've put in an inside day and it shows that it's getting bought up here off the 80s. If we zoom out here, you can see these mid to low ones topping area. So it likes to top out near the morning and fade the rest of the day. So if this can push and consolidate near its highs and then maybe re-break out 2 p.m. plus, that would definitely be worth a watch. And then FIO, day one runner, keeping on watch just because it's a percent gainer. Same thing with Kappa, but no immediate plans there. Okay. Do you ever take first green day bounce on large caps like Nvidia today? They don't act the same at all, but they have good edge. Technically, Nvidia didn't have a green day, but it reversed. More, I guess, bottom day for Nvidia, which I don't like. Let me see. Nvidia. Yeah, what I have a hard time with on names like this is, so now we had on the 7th, 8th, 10th, and 13th. 7th, 8th, 10th, and 13th. Big red day, faded right near its lows, gap up, fail, gap down, reversal, and fail, big gap down, steady grind back up. So like all of these days are all different characteristics in one, how they act intraday, and how their daily candle ends up closing and shaping up through the rest of the day. So if I'm trading these large caps, like I threw EIX on watch, this is getting hammered on the California wildfires. This is one that so the news on this is that there's 70,000, I believe, 70,000 homes under Edison International that don't have power because of the wildfires. So that's hitting them right now. But the long-term outlook on this company itself, like this is just a natural disaster. This is like a not a once in a lifetime, but it happens. It happens all over the place, but it's you know what I mean? Like it's happening once. It's not like this company's never coming back. We do have the candles starting to expand. We do have fear in this space with the wildfires. We have volume starting to speed up. And what does this one do? This one opens and fades to its lows. Opens, fades to its lows, opens, fades to its lows. This one is a consistent personality and how the daily candles look. So in comparison to something like this versus something like Nvidia, which one would I prefer to bounce? Technical wise would be the other one. This one's just, it's all over the place to me. So I wouldn't personally trade something like Nvidia. There's probably someone out there who can trade off of levels, who would look left and use these as a guide and so on and so forth. I'm not that guy. There's nothing telling me that this was going to hold up today and bounce. So I like having the daily candle, the daily bar, daily chart pattern setup that's telling me today should be the day. If I'm wrong, so be it. But today it should happen, so that now I know it's worth putting risk on. There was nothing telling me that any one of these days, like why did Nvidia bounce today? Why didn't it gap down, fail, and then tomorrow be the bounce day? You know what I mean? Like on the whole review with Kit yesterday, I had so much criteria telling me this was the day. I wasn't trying to buy it on this day. I wasn't trying to buy it on this day. I wasn't trying to buy it today. It was Friday. This day, it should do X, Y, and Z. I don't know what day EIX should do it. What would put it in my favor is if that 930 open, if the opening range highs start to get taken out, I think you could get a little bounce out of this. Is this going to be something I go all in on? No. But yeah. So something like RGTI, This one's now coming into a support level. It's now pulled back from 20 down to 6. This thing's getting hammered each day. It has some opening range highs like I don't love, but something like SES, for example, hasn't gone green in 4 days. That's notable. So, my thoughts on it anyways. Appreciated the feedback, by the way, on the YouTube video yesterday. I'm glad that little review session on backside bounce for screen days hit home. There's 4 of you in there that with the feedback. I appreciate it. I'm glad it resonated with some of you. I get passionate about that stuff. I watched it back. You guys were saying, around 19 minutes, 20 minutes. So I watched it back and I'm like, I was so like amped and passionate about it. It was funny. Alrighty. Well, I've ran through scans. I've ran through my chat logs. So I think that's just about all I got to go over. Went over my trade plans, couple reviews, what I like to look for. So I think we can leave it there. Long question. Stuff and such. Squeaks it in. Squeaks it in right before I hopped off. Long question. May have to break it up into parts on chat. Okay. I'm making an if-then list for intraday action on multi-day runs. Wanted your feedback. Listed most to least ideal as follows. Okay. We're going to be waiting in suspense. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Gap up and has strength. Look for hard crack, lower high filled follow through. Gap up and consolidate. Look for opening range breakdown. Gap up and dips. Look to join bounce as it fails. Gap down has strength. Wait for failed follow through. Gap up, consolidate. Look for opening range breakdown or avoid. Gap down and dip. Look for a bounce. Join trend or avoid. Anything you'd add? How would you fit red green level into this? What intraday action would make you not short an ideal multi-day run? So something that would make me not short something that would make me not short a multi-day run would be a gap down of like 20% or more. Now I feel that the meat of the move has come and gone on that gap down. So something that gaps down, something that runs 1 to 150, next day 150 to 250, next day gaps up 350 to 5, and then it opens at 350 the next day. That's an ideal multi-day run. Gaps up, gaps up, gaps up. Daily candles getting bigger, speeding up, volumes going along with it, and then just gaps down. that's a immediate like whatever for me. I think that's really the only scenario that would make me avoid if the multi-day daily chart is ideal. But the when you get that gap to gap to gap 3-day multi-day run, and then day 4 you get that gap up parabolic. If you zoom out to like a multi-day 15-minute chart, and you look at those volume bars off the open by 9:45, 10 a.m., you can see them start to engulf those prior days that are showing a capitulation, big blow off, exhaustion morning. So that's definitely what I look for on gap ups. Would be gap up parabolic is A plus. Something that's gone gap to gap to gap, again, ideal daily chart, and gaps down. Ideally, I want it as close to red green. So your question, how do I bring red to green into it? I want it as close to red green as possible. If this hasn't gone green in 3 or 4 days and now is slightly gapping down, I'd be hitting that at open with prior day's highs risk, without seeing any intraday action, just because that's a signal for me that first time it goes red, possible trend shift. So to answer those last 2 questions, and then in terms of your list, gap up and has strength, that's when you get that gap up parabolic and you get hard crack lower high. So that parabolic is something I react to, and then I'm covering that pullback immediately because I don't know how low that dip is going to go and how much higher it wants to go. It could want to blow out high a day. So a lot of times I'm covering all or 75% or so into that dip. And then I want to see that lower high confirmation and then retake out that dip low it just set. Once it starts to peak out at that low, we've now got confirmed fail follow through. That's an ad spot for me. A low a day breakdown is an ad spot for me. A green to red breakdown is an ad spot for me. So now this trade is working in my favor, and I'm adding on pops back into these resistance levels along the way. In terms of gap downs, if it's close enough, like I say, I'll just put it on there versus prior day's levels risk. If it's gapping down, into that 8 to 12% range, I need some sort of morning shove that I could use red to green as a guide. Over the last year or two, red to green hasn't been as concrete as it used to be back in like 2019, and not so much 2020, but more in 2019 era, before that crazy volume came in. You used to be able to short a pop with risk on red to green, where now we'll even get high-a-day clearouts, prior high-a-day clearouts, red to green clearouts, where they know these levels that shorts are at, that they want to clear out, make this trade a lot less crowded, and now you've got peak liquidity into that break. Like if you're looking at SES right now, like look at this clear out right here. That is peak liquidity. That ends up being the high before this $2.50 to $1 fade. It breaks out here, so anybody that was shorting bounces with risk on this daily high gets stopped out right here, and it's clean fades all the way. So that's peak liquidity. Everybody's stopping out. Everybody's on the wrong side, and the big money, so to speak, is on the other side. They is using that liquidity to get their position. So in the last few years, you've seen a lot more clearouts where levels that used to hold low a day, high a day, that you used to be able just to risk a full position off of. A lot more recently, you've had to see it kind of test and react to it, just given the amount of players that are out and about. Stuff and such comes with the heat. I love his questions. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can tell he wants it. So, cool. I hope that answered your question. I think that's a good note to leave it on. That's great. Thank you. I agree that they use red to green to shake people out. Seems like overhod under is most important. Size of the big raise. Yeah. You betcha. Alrighty. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get in where we fit in and make some memories tomorrow. And I'll see you guys in the room. Peace.